The cell is a bilayer, has a defined space. It has a skin. Our first layer, least differentiated.
Macro, micro.
Yeah, and it's our barrier function with the air environment, because remember when we were conceived, we were suddenly in a plasma environment for a brief time, and then there was all kind of uniform, and then there's increasing energy, which increases frequency, which makes a shorter wavelength that divides up that space into smaller cells, like the first 5 generations in the cosmos, in the body. And then we differentiate. So we have 5 layers that are, I take Einstein's words seriously in this case, where he said we should make our models as simple as possible. But he said something else to finish the sentence. He said, and no simpler, which I think was a brilliant joke. Especially, in a sense, Albert, a joke with you, certainly not on you. It was a brilliant visual thinker who couldn't get through high school in a standard mode. But his oversimplification of the cosmic model that we're focused on academically right now, that we're spending, I don't know how many trillions of dollars to build atom smashing, angel torture devices to find out what's inside them. And spiritually, we've been told enough times, you'd think that we'd hear it, what God has put together, let man not tear asunder. Like, well, why tear asunder that mountain that's storing a bunch of radioactive material and concentrate it and use it to boil water, so we can run a turbine to make electricity, to make electrons, which we're living on an electron. We're wearing rubber-soled shoes, rubber-soled cars, insulated spaces that are insulated from that electronic energy source. We call it a ground. That means however much you want, you can have. It's free. Well, Tesla, when he had the vision of how we could use that energy for free, his funding was cut. And that happens over and over again with some very interesting lines of research that I'm pulling together in this model, from Wilhelm Reich with orgone energy, which he could photograph the blue glow in a vacuum tube where he collected orgone. Interesting. Well, now we have Nobel Prizes for proving that condensates exist at almost 0 degrees Kelvin in a laboratory, and there's no practical use in life for condensates yet, because you can't go out and buy the product that works on that technology. We're not far off in terms of years, perhaps, but because the technology does exist. When it was patented in 1996 by David Hudson, he wasn't awarded a U.S. patent because the government was already aware of it and using it in black operations. So it's interesting when man's government, earthly government, in the sense of social government, has secrets from the people and wants to know everything about us, but they're spending our life energy by creating that structure into existence. Our life energy is doing these things that we have no idea what they are. So we live in an age where actually they calculate that more human beings have died from our industrialized technology with full legality, full war and weapons of mass destruction. We're concerned that there's weapons of mass destruction somewhere else in the world, but the label on the packaging usually is that it was made in this country. But I think with the correcting our understanding of the physics is essential to us seeing how and why to create a culture of peace, a culture where we have no parasitic energy loss, because the parasites are drawn by the energy loss. If we're governing ourselves completely, if our plasma sphere of consciousness, energy, immortality is intact, we are at peace. There's no war that can penetrate when our design function is actualized. And every day as I'm looking at the science in relation to the model that I've developed for clinical, for healing, and for stimulating development, growth, cleansing, energizing the different levels, phases of function that we've talked about, it's really falling into place step by step, but I'm not hitting questions that I can't find an answer for that helps me, put me in awe and wonder of the beauty, the miracle of life, our ability to see pattern, to understand, to take in, not only the surface of the world that we see. We look up, we see the stars, but we can see beyond the stars. We can see an explosion, or we can see a transcendent, all-powerful God creating a womb that's heaven and seeding that with cellular life that's at every level is completely sentient and knows exactly what it is and how to do what it does, knows the mathematics perfectly, doesn't have to think about it. It's because it is God's body, it is God's blood. And so we live in this womb of heaven, cellular structure, from the biggest thing we can see, the wholeness of it, to the smallest thing that we can see. And Jack Sarfati, I'm just having some conversation with online, just came across his brand new idea, in last week that he wrote up. He calculated and found that the center, the geometric center of the range of frequencies that we can interact with in our science, we can measure and detect, from the Planck scale, the smallest of the small. We can't directly measure it, it's too small to have an instrument that's that sensitive. But we can extrapolate, we can measure what the size is, what the time is, the frequency. It's has some kind of presence, some kind of thingness, and yet it's a universal. It has close to infinite energy compared to the matter, compared to everything else. But yet there's one quality in which, in the last week just learned this, one quality numerically that has equivalence between the background sea of energy that carries electromagnetic waves. It's the carrier, what used to be called the ether. And we know it's there. And now it's, you could also call it dark energy. Dark energy is, to me, that's in the way that they're looking at the universe, they're seeing the ether. They're seeing the function of I like a model that's called Superlight. The Superlight model essentially says that sea is it's the substrate of everything. It's what everything's made of, all the way up to the massive particles.
So it's not the same as space.
It is the same as space. There is no space without this.
Mm-hmm.
There's no space smaller than this. It's a cell of space. Mm-hmm. It's a cell of space, time, and energy. And it's all one. It's all identical. It's completely coherent with itself. So as a dimension, it's non-locality. It's everywhere and here the same. Completely coherent, so completely sentient. What is sentience? It's like it's something that coheres in time. It exists. Oh, it still exists. It's a standing wave. It didn't go away. It knows how to do that. Good on it. We can build something out of that. So everything, that's a thing has that, everything that exists has that coherence to some degree. When we blast apart a proton, it has very little coherence. We see thingness, a few little, we see most of it we don't see. And we see a couple little things and a bunch of little tinier things, and they go away. We can't see them. They're not stable, they're not coherent. So this thing of self, not self, is a universal issue. It's not just me being conscious, it's you being conscious. It's when we're one cell, there's consciousness, and it's a gift of both parents because we're receiving protoplasm from both parents, and that's the seed of that differentiation that we see 5 generations later, just as the seed of the differentiation in the grand universe we see in the cosmic microwave background radiation. You see the yin-yang sign. There it is. We live in the yin-yang universe. Like, how that was visualized, we don't see with these eyes in the microwave.
Mm-hmm.
But what do we see with the eyes of the spirit? Haven't had a lot of research on that. But all of the evidence that people report back is it's way more. It's way more. Like, why would we only see one octave? Once we've learned how to see that octave, now we can understand. Now we can sense all of it. Well, we shield out the electrical and the magnetic fields in that membrane, in the surface. That's where the consciousness is. That's where we see that. The interior isn't seeing that. It's a sanctuary. It's there to remember what was. It's the pipe that connects past, and when we have the capacity to, like a forebrain capacity, thinking forward, planning, visualizing, we have the capacity to navigate. And that's the connection to the future. So that's the purpose of the biological body. It's just like the baby in the womb is a seed of this body. This body is a seed of another body. And we are cosmic beings. This is our body. This does not exist separate from it. Doesn't, can't. It's not how it works.
Okay.
It's part of it.
Wrap our minds around that.
And so we resonate. We have octave resonances with all of it, all the way up and down. That's one of the primary things that I'm interested in. I'm looking at is the energetics of, well, because I found out that through my own research that 172 hertz was a harmonic frequency for that spirit. I was trying to produce medicines, homeopathic medicines, something called imponderables, which in this case are real things, but they're frequencies. They're not things. They're energies. So traditionally, that would be an imponderable. A thought like love, like the thought of love that you put into water and freeze that water and see the crystalline structure, and you can relate to it. And you look at the crystalline structure of tap water and say, I don't want to drink that, right? There's energy, there's communication. Energy carries information. Energy is a carrier wave, like a radio station. The information carried on that wave is called the characteristic, the waveform of that on that carrier, and that's the information. That's, oh, they're playing this tune. And so every beam of light that plays on those glass marbles moves the color around. Albert Szent-Györgyi says every vitamin, mineral, hormone, and enzyme in the body is color sensitive, has color sensitive switching. It turns on and turns off 500% with the color of the marble.
Wow.
So while we clearly are in this biological bodysuit and want to get in good shape to have a better experience, to grow and learn more while we're here on Earth, develop our capacity to self-regulate, to navigate, all these essential functions. Well, and we see those essential functions laid out in the development. So I'd like to take it at the most basic level that gives us a full sense of it, and for me that's 5, and as all these other 5s keep coming up, like the 5 phases, the same. It's like, well, we really need to describe it. We don't need like to divide what I call phase 1 low energy terrain into the 3 layers that we do talk about clinically, and they're in the same quadrant. They're in the same domain. It's just, yeah, there's form within that.